Greetings from the heartland of the United States, Kansas City, the city of fountains, the city of oceans, oceans of love and generosity, oceans of love and acceptance, oceans of mercy and compassion. This is AUPSN with the Dialogue Institute of Kansas City. I guess needless to say, we are very excited and happy to be with you here today. We have guests all around the world. The host family is joining from Kansas City and Belgium, an interracial marriage, Pakistani and Turkish marriage. Our speakers are joining from Ohio and Kansas City. Matt Anderson, my longtime friend, the host group, the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. This will be, we are in dilemma. This will be either sixth or seventh traditional, what do we call, fast breaking, but special one, M&M fast breaking dinner. This was a kind of a spontaneous joke years ago. I said, Mormons, Muslims, it reminds me of M&Ms, M&Ms, referring to the initials of Muslims and Mormons. But so in the previous years, it was a tradition that they were sharing M&Ms with me. So last year it was virtual again. So I had shared my office address and they mailed a lot of M&Ms. This year the same courtesy can be done, right, Matt? 4215 Shiny Drive, Kansas City, Kansas 66106. You can pause on YouTube and mail it to that address. Thank you. The floor is yours, Kelly.
And oceans of M&Ms.
Yeah.
Never too many of little chocolate treats for AU. Yeah, let's not forget that. So now the whole world knows you're going to get inundated with M&Ms to keep you through the year till next Ramadan. I'm Reverend Kelly Isla, and it is a joy and a pleasure and a privilege, as always, to be hosting and supporting and being a part of Ramadan this year with the Dialogue Institute, as I've done for several years. And I tease with people that I'll be your flight attendant on this journey tonight. So the first thing I want to just do is welcome everybody who's listening and our guests tonight, our families, our host organization, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we're going to hear more from them a little bit later. But first, I want to just talk to you about a really special project that the Dialogue Institute is involved in this year, and it's called Giving Ramadan. And so for the month of Ramadan, April 13th through May 12th, the Dialogue Institute is having a virtual food drive. And basically what that means is it's instead of where a lot of us are used to food drives, where you go to the grocery store, you purchase food and you bring it to a place and drop it off, and then that organization makes sure that the food is distributed to those that are experiencing food scarcity. But because of the pandemic, and even though we kind of are coming out of it a little bit slowly, and people are being vaccinated and all, we still want to stay safe. We're not, we want to be mindful to keep people healthy and well. So we're doing a virtual food drive. So if you check the YouTube chat stream, you will see a link there for Harvesters, and that is the virtual food drive. So if you click that link, it will take you to Harvesters, and there you can kind of food shop online. You choose how much money you would like to spend, and Harvesters will make sure that the purchases that amount of food and then distributes it again to those that are hungry. And just keep in mind that $1 is a meal. So it's not a lot of money that most everyone I think has $1. And I know I certainly can spare some of the blessings and goodness that I have in my life. The other big event that is going on during Giving Ramadan is a toy drive for kids in foster care through the organization Cornerstones. So again, just like the Harvesters food drive, there'll be a link. AUP is putting a link in the YouTube chat stream that if you click that, it's actually a wish list. So kids in foster care have asked for these, are asking for these toys. and just to brighten up their day a little bit. So it's through Cornerstones. Click the link in the YouTube chat stream for the toy drive for the kids, and just pick something from the wish list if you're able to. There were other events that were happening that now have passed, but we're also about making sure that those who don't have something to eat, experiencing food scarcity, are having food cooked and served to them, whether that's in a women's shelter or shelter for families or children. And I want to tell you just a little bit about the Dialogue Institute of Kansas City. I usually go a little overboard because I get excited, and it's always the work is amazing, and there's not enough hours in the day to support the Dialogue Institute, but the Dialogue Institute has satellite offices all around, and this is the Dialogue Institute of Kansas City. Our co-sponsors and co-hosts are the Kansas City Raindrop Foundation and Dialogue Institute of Oklahoma City. But the Dialogue Institute is founded on the principles of community building and peacemaking and justice, and on the Gulen movement. And it's the Hizmet movement, and Hizmet means service. So being in service of being merciful and being compassionate. And that's what, these fast breaking meals are about. That is bringing community together and building bridges. One of the signature events for the Dialogue Institute is the annual friendship dinner, which last year had to be virtual. We did a little something virtually online. This year, again, because we're not coming together and congregating yet, that we weren't able to do that, but want to tell you about it because it is an important fundraising event, and it's an important meal in terms of bringing people together, and people of different cultures, people from different organizations, but all that have the intention and the commitment for justice, and to learn about diversity and to celebrate the differences and make a positive impact on the community. There's awards given, and you can see from some of the pictures, there's just, it's a way to meet people, different from yourself, to help expand the idea of compassion, the oceans of love and oceans of mercy and oceans of support. The Dialogue Institute offers a lot of different classes, fun things on crafts and art making, like water marbling, and cooking classes, and bringing coffee and baklava to your place of business. Eventually, we'll be back out doing that again. And also dinner with host families. That's how I got connected with the Dialogue Institute. I think I knew Ayup for about a minute and a half, and I got a text that said, on Thursday night at 7 o'clock, go to this address, to this family. They will feed you, and you'll meet other nice people. And I said, okay. And I did. And I didn't know a soul, and I had a wonderful meal, and my world was changed forever. I have been adopted by this Turkish Muslim community here in the Dialogue Institute. They take part in Thanksgiving dinners. They bring Turkish and American culture together. And of course, the Ramadan fast breaking dinners, these iftars. And last year when we had to go virtual, not sure what is that going to look like. And we said, well, we're going to go online, and we'll just make it work. Knowing that Ramadan and the iftars and suhoors are really community and bringing people together, and that's what is so important, and a little bit stressful getting over that initial not having lots of people together celebrating and being in community together. But we have certainly made that happen this year, even more so. We're going to have kids videos, and I think if we have time, we'll hear from a doctor about the health benefits of fasting. Anyway, so right now, before we're going to watch some kids video. It's been my favorite part of the iftars this year during Ramadan. And this video has kids that are Turkish American, and I believe from Belgium. And then after the kids video, I'm going to introduce our host group and one of our keynote speakers for the evening. You have our kids for us, Ayub?
Ramadan means to me, when it's Ramadan, I like to read Quran, I like to be Imam, I like to pray with my family, and I like to visit my friends and play with them, my favorite friends. And I like to decorate my house a lot.
Ramadan means to me a lot because I get to pray with my family on Ramadan, and I love to decorate our houses. I love to be kind to my family members and remember that Ramadan is always the day that Allah likes. Ramadan means, when I hear Ramadan, I think of spending more time with my family, fasting, and not having bad language, and being more kind to others, giving charity. During Ramadan, we fast. We fast for Allah, and we also feel how the needy feel when they don't have anything to eat or drink.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to be saying what I think about Ramadan. I love it when we just, in the iftar, when we just sit together around the table and eat stuff. And I like in the sahur, so I can just wake up, eat, get like energy and protein, and then go back to sleep. So I have energy for the next day. And I love it when my cat disturbs the iftar when coming on the table and then asking for food. And I also like that we can spend a little more time with the family. That was the stuff I liked about Ramadan. Peace.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite. I love that peace at the end, peace. Oh, they just, every time you show a video, I just love the kids. It's so hopeful because that's, they're going to be adults leading us soon, sooner than we imagine. Our host organization, our host group tonight is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And we are going to hear from Matt Anderson. He and his wife Valerie are longtime friends of the Dialogue Institute. This is not sure if we haven't figured out if it's year 6 or year 7 that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been involved with the Dialogue Institute and these iftars. But Matt has studied interfaith religion and Near Eastern history since high school. He served a 2-year mission in the south of France, where he interacted with members from many faiths, and particularly followers of Islam. He also studied in Jerusalem and worked with Palestinians and Egyptians, Syrians, and Israelis. I was most impressed when I read his bio because he's read the Quran in both French and English. So my challenge to Matt would be, okay, next step is read it in Arabic, and then I'll be even super more impressed. But he did that too, and I think it's an heartfelt commitment to doing that in order to gain an appreciation of Islam and to build that shared understanding among various faiths. Matt is an information technology executive at Cerner here in the Kansas City area, and he and his wife Valerie have 2 children, Aubrey, who is married and works at KU Medical Center, and Seth, who's finishing his college education at Central Missouri. They have 5 cats, 2 dogs, and about 200 koi. Because everything else didn't keep them busy enough. So they have 200 koi to help keep them busy. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited for you to have me. Let me get my presentation started here for you.
Okay, I'm going to give you the spotlight and we'll see you shortly.
All right. All right. Well, as was kind of said in my bio, one of the things that I look at a lot in the world and why I'm so interested in working with the Dialogue Institute is far too often we come at things from we're a separate world, we're separate countries, we have separate viewpoints, and it's almost always about who's right and who's wrong. And, I use the colors pink and blue here to denote probably more male and female than anything else. But as we know, as you develop relationships and meet people and work with them, the reality is what you really need to be looking for is common ground. Because as soon as you find common ground, and that's the areas where things intersect, you start to realize that we're not as different as we really think we are. There's perceived differences, but the reality is we're a lot closer. And as I've worked closer with AEP and with many members of the followers of Islam, I've found that the reality is the overlap is very, very significant. And while there are differences, I won't distinguish or won't say that there aren't, but we don't need to focus on any of the differences. We need to focus on the things that are really in common so that we can have peace. And that is what's going to bring the appropriate peace that we are seeking as part of, followers of God and trying to strive to do what's right. And so what I want to talk about is just a few of the things that are in common that have brought us together this evening. First and foremost is fasting. If you do any study of fasting, you find very quickly that it's practiced by almost every major religion. For Christianity, they have observations of Lent and Advent and other events that they look at on a personal level. Judaism has over 7 different fasting events that they take place in, and Yom Kippur is probably the most significant. We're in Ramadan now, and we're excited to be celebrating this with you. From a Mormonism or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints perspective, we fast one day every month. And that is how we contribute to fasting. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But there are many, many other religions out there in particular that use fasting as a way to come closer to God. And what's interesting is, the health profession out there has started to pick up on fasting and starting to say, hey, this is a really good thing. And if you do a Google search on fasting, you're going to see a lot of things that tell you why you should fast from a physical perspective. But the reality is fasting is really a whole lot more about building self-discipline and putting God first. I like to call it a God first exercise program, because we're learning to look and say, I am going to overcome my natural man or natural tendencies and build some self-discipline, and I'm going to do it on a regular basis. And Ramadan is wonderful for doing that and helping individuals find a way to center more on God, on Allah, and enable them to build that self-discipline. And we do the same thing as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with our fasting. Just a quick note on this slide, dry fasting means that those are fasting without drinking. There are many other fasting principles out there where they allow you to drink, but major religions, when we're doing it for religious purposes, we look at dry fasting as the model. One of the other things that's a really big shared opportunity that we have between Christianity, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and Islam is we believe in prophets, and that God speaks to man, and that those prophets can help direct us. We teach our children from the beginning in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints about following the prophet and how the prophet knows the way. You have similar things within Islam, such as follow Sunnah, and that it's not just about what the prophets say, it's about what the prophets do and how they actually acted during their lives. And by following their examples, we can learn how to live a life that's more in concert with how God wants us to live. If we look at what these prophets have taught us about fasting, kind of these 2 principles that bring us together, it's interesting that the very first commandment that was received was about eating and about making sure that you don't eat something. And then once that eating did take place, then there were consequences to it. But looking on and going forward to some of the shared prophets that are named in both the Bible and in the Quran, you have Moses, who spent 40 days fasting before he received the 10 commandments. Elijah spent another 40 days himself on the same mountain where Moses received those 10 commandments, fasting so that he could hear God's word. And then Jesus, who Christians follow as the Son of God, spent 40 days fasting to prepare to be able to start his ministry. And it's interesting that all of them said, before I'm going to go and get greater light and knowledge, greater understanding on what I need to do, they used a period of fasting. Jesus himself, when he was teaching his disciples, they had gone around doing good things like we tend to do as we're trying to be good disciples and followers of God. The disciples ran across some individuals where they couldn't, or situations where they couldn't perform the miracles and do the duties that they thought they would be able to. And Jesus taught them a very important principle, that at times, the problem that we are facing is big enough that prayer alone or faith alone doesn't necessarily get there. There needs to be some greater power that we bring in. And he said, that kind cometh not out but by prayer and fasting, teaching us that fasting is a principle of power that can help us overcome the challenges that are about us. As members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we believe in modern prophets, that there's a prophet here on the earth today, and his name is Russell M. Nelson. One of the ways that we follow his teachings is he asked us back in April of last year to have a worldwide fast as a church, where we would come together and fast and unite our faith and our prayers and our hearts to helping overcome the COVID pandemic. And in addition, praying for those such as the caregivers, such as those that are crucial to the economy to continue to move forward, that life within the family and would be normalized and we will be able to overcome the challenges that the pandemic provided. And so we followed his counsel and had a worldwide fast and continue to follow counsels that are given in order to listen to that voice of the prophet. As we look at what does the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints think about fasting in general and why do we do it, our overall practice is that we fast the first Sunday of each month. We fast for basically 2 meals or roughly 24 hours. We will eat dinner on a Saturday evening and then break the fast on a Sunday evening. We invite all participants of the church who are 8 and older in order to participate. And we make it a day of prayer and fasting. And in fact, we change our worship services so that instead of hearing from a congregational leader or from members of the congregation who have been asked to speak, we actually have what my wife would call open mic time, which is when individuals can come up and share their testimonies about their faith in God, about the things that they have learned, the opportunities that they have been given to serve, and why they are followers of Jesus Christ. And they can share that as talks to the general congregation. In addition, what we do as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is we take the money that we would have spent on the meals that we have foregone, and we use that money and give it to the church as what is called fast offerings. And I found it very interesting about the virtual food drive, because that's in essence what we do on a monthly basis. We take that money, we give it to the church, and it goes directly to helping those that are in need. And within our church, we believe in helping our local congregations first, and then moving out to a regional and then a global scale. So one of the things that we would do with that fast offering is we fund what is called the Bishop's Storehouse, where it's like a little grocery store, but for those members of our church who are struggling or in need, they can go to this location and be able to get food as needed for them and their families. And these storehouses are paid for directly from the fast offerings that are given. And I can say that in almost all of the areas, what the church collects at the local level covers the need of that local level, and then is able to go out and help bigger efforts. So we have large storehouses that are located throughout the world of food, clothing, relief supplies, especially water, that when disaster strikes, we will send out and help, not only with our hands, as you can see what we call the Helping Hands group here, helping during Hurricane Katrina, but we will send supplies. And those supplies come directly from the fast offerings that have been given by members of our church in order to help our brothers and sisters across the world. And these offerings and the supplies aren't just for members of our church. They go to helping the entire community of those impacted areas. And I'd like to close in just offering what I would call my testimony of the principle of fasting. I believe and have proven throughout my life that whenever I want to align my heart to God and I need to be able to feel closer to Him, whether it's dealing with challenges in my personal life, something at work, trying to help a friend or a family member who's struggling, that when I need that extra spiritual power, I know it can be found by fasting and by prayer, just as Jesus taught. And this I say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have another speaker tonight. If you have questions for Matt, please put them in the YouTube chat stream and we can revisit after it on, because here in the Kansas City area, Central Time Zone, the call to prayer is at 8:12 p.m. Central Time. So I want to have Zeki Zaridaprak, Dr. Zeki Zaridaprak, speak before the call to prayer. He is the Nursey Chair in Islamic Studies at John Carroll University, which is a Jesuit university in Cleveland, Ohio, and is one of a growing number of institutes and centers dedicated to Islamic studies at universities in North America. The Nursey Chair in Islamic Studies aims to provide balanced and responsible, academically rigorous yet theologically sound information about Islam. I know he's currently preparing a book on Islamic spirituality that is about the theology and practice of Islamic spirituality for the modern world. So welcome, thank you very much. And I'm gonna turn the spotlight over to you, Zeki.
Thank you, Reverend Kelly. It is wonderful to be with you again. It's always good to join these programs and I really enjoy it greatly. A little update, the book that you mentioned is already published. Islamic Spirituality is already published. The book that I'm working on now is called Islamic Eschatology, about the end time issues. So I'm working on that now. So talking about fasting, and I'd like to thank Matt for a wonderful talk about, how fasting in the different religious traditions. Actually, it's in the Holy Quran, chapter 2 of the Holy Quran, verse 183, I think. It says, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it has been prescribed upon the people before you. And when the commentators of the Quran are mentioning who are the people before Islam, they would say Christianity and Judaism. So fasting was prescribed on people, on Christians, the people who belong to Christianity, and also on Jewish people as well. As we know now, Islam is connecting to these earlier traditions through fasting as well. So when we say fasting, of course, we should clarify that there are two types of fasting in Islam. One, and this is not known generally, that's why I like to mention this, it is called voluntary fasting. You fast, but it's not required. So for example, it's recommended, but it's not required, that you fast every week, Mondays and Thursdays. It's recommended. If you are able, it's recommended that you fast Mondays and Thursdays every week. And within the month, it is called the nights of brightness. That is when the moon is bright, basically 13, 14, and 15 of the Islamic calendars, the lunar calendars, when the moon is the bright. So these 3 days also in the month are recommended. And also within the year, there are some other times, the beginning of the Islamic year also, the 10 days are recommended to fast. The night before the Feast of Sacrifice, again, the day before the Feast of Sacrifice, again, it's recommended to fast. The entire, actually 10 days before that is also recommended to fast. So there are voluntary fasting. One narration says that it is good to fast as David, peace upon him, fasted. David in the Islamic tradition. He's a prophet of God. He's a king, but also he's a prophet. So he used to fast, according to the Islamic tradition, every other day. One day not fasting, the other day fasting. So he used to fast every other day. So this is what we call it voluntary fasting. It's not required, it's recommended. The second one, which is now we are in, it is required fasting, and that is a compulsory. You have to fast. Unless you are excused, you are among the exempt people. There are exempt people. There are people who are not required to fast, like sick people, those who are traveling, they would make up their fasting later. So these are mentioned in the books of Islamic jurisprudence, who are exempt from fasting. Children under the age of puberty are not required to fast, for example. Sometimes they fast, but it's not requirement. If they like, they can fast, but it's not requirement. So basically, Ramadan is the required one, and every Muslim who has reached the age of puberty, be male or female, are required to fast if they are capable, of course, health-wise. If your doctor says you shouldn't fast, then you cannot fast, because the purpose of fasting is to help you, not to actually destroy your body, to build your body. So when we say fasting, I would say the major issue is that our relationship with God. And I think Matt beautifully mentioned similar, to a certain extent, similar, that we understand that in this world, we are fasting because God commands us to fast. And because we understand that we are not the owner of these bounties. God is the owner. God Almighty is the owner of these bounties. Why? While your food is there on the table, you are desperately hungry and you are not allowed to touch it until sunset, until it is declared. So that means that you understand you are not the owner and you have to be thankful. So with this regard, it creates the sense of thankfulness in the heart of those who are fasting. And I think another important dimension of fasting is that you think of others who do not have enough food. They are hungry just because they don't have food to eat. So now you consider yourself in their situation and you start thinking of them. If somebody one day tells you there are hungry people in Africa, you feel the same pain because you experienced hunger. If you have never experienced hunger, let's say you are a rich person, you have never experienced to be hungry, well, you'll never understand their pain. And therefore, even if you are the richest person in the world, through fasting, you understand that situation. So understanding the situation of people who are hungry in the world, and now you are in a position to help them, you will become much more prone to help those people. You'll become much more encouraged to help them because you have the same experience. And that's why before the sunset, like a piece of bread becomes so precious because you are very hungry. And finally, the last one is that personal health. Basically, sometimes I compare these to, and some Islamic scholars actually use the analogy of factory. So I say it is like annual maintenance of the body. Annual maintenance. Every factory has annual maintenance. You have to have annual maintenance. So the body is now having less food, resting, your stomach is resting, your other elements of your body, your other organs that are constantly working, there are also health resting to a certain extent in a month. Of course, you shouldn't make up what you have missed during the day at night. You shouldn't eat too much even at night. So the goal is that to eliminate too much eating and therefore make your body healthier. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. So I apologize about the book information. So say more about the one that's about to come out.
Yeah, it's called Islamic Eschatology.
Right.
Eschatology, it means the knowledge of eschaton, which means the end of time,
Right.
the afterlife.
Right.
So I'm working on that book now.
Okay.
God willing, inshallah, it will come.
Inshallah. Yes, yes, yes. And so the other book that was on the one that I,
Spirituality,
yes.
it's already published by Bloomsbury.
Okay. And so what is that one about?
It's basically about the spiritual dimension of Islam.
Okay.
I call it Islamic spirituality, theology, and practice for the modern world. My goal is that spirituality is not only a theory, it is something to be practiced. So fasting is part of that. Prayer is part of that. Daily prayers is part of that.
Right.
Your normal prayer that are verbal, not action, but verbal. Verbal also a part of action, perhaps. We can call it also action. Those type of prayers are also part of spirituality. So for example, what should you say when you go to sleep? What you should say before you eat, what you should say before you finish, after you finish your eating, etc. So there are occasions, I think the Prophet used on so many occasions. I saw in one place that 118 occasions that the Prophet would have a specific prayer for them.
Yeah. Wow.
I mentioned some of them in the book.
Yeah. That's amazing to have that many. I'm going to guess that means it's speaking to the importance of prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that prayer is just foundational, and which I really find quite amazing because I have yet to, I've done a lot of my work is interfaith work and a lot of, study on religions and faith traditions and life philosophies, and prayer comes in a myriad of forms. And I have yet to, it seems to be one of those, when you look at a handful of things that seem to be across the board, regardless of your spirituality, religion, faith, life, however you define that, prayer seems to be.
Yes. In the Islamic teaching for prayer, there are so many words. For example, salat, we translate as prayer. It is prescribed daily prayers.
Okay.
Dua is another word. It is the prayer that you say it verbally. That is different one. And there is munajat, is another word for prayer, and that is supplication. You address God.
You're right.
So there are a variety of terms for prayer in there.
Well, and even like movement as prayer, like dance, or like a labyrinth, kind of walking. Walking.
Action. Yeah, it is absolutely.
Yeah. So I wonder if Matt, if you could, we have a few minutes before the Adhan, the call to prayer. So I'm wondering, Matt, if you could thanks. We have a question that I thought was a great question, and I'm hoping you can, in a few minutes, answer it. But the question is, when you use the term from your wife, the open mic moments. So the question is around that, wanting to know which testimony has been most memorable for you on those Sunday open mic moments.
Yeah, well, I'm over 50, so I've heard 50 years of open mic moments. So it's hard to pick a single one. So I'll pick the types that tend to jump out at me.
Okay.
One is like the child video that we just saw around the youth talking about their experience with Ramadan. And it's really, I'll say, the first steps that you see of people building faith and pursuing a life of discipleship to God. So when they're making those first steps, especially as children, I think that's special. The other one is when someone is coming back to church or coming to church for the first time as an adult. And they come in as a very humble individual, and realizing that they need God in their life.
Mm.
And when they share their personal stories, because their journeys are all different, it's kind of in the Bible, Jesus talks about the lost sheep, where he leaves the 99, the one goes away, and he goes and finds that one and brings it back. And it's those stories of those sheep coming back that are especially touching and help reinforce your faith. We look at it like building a fire, right? Another log on
Yeah.
the fire. And that really helps us. And I know we're at time, so I'd say that those are the things that I'm looking for, or that really touch me during those moments.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The idea of coming home. There are a lot of ways that we can come home, and it's really powerful when it includes our faith and our spirituality and whatever our understanding of God, or the divine, or even inherent goodness, right? So thank you. Thank you to both of you. I don't know if there will be other questions, but we're almost at time for prayer. So I'm going to play a video that is, and if you can come back afterwards, after we're going to meet with families and see if there are other questions. So, but now I'm going to play a video that is of 6 different imams that was put together. They're from all over the world. That is the call to prayer. And there is English translation at the bottom.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
And so I offer this, each iftar, I offer a prayer of peace from a different faith and tradition. And tonight the prayer comes from Sikh Dharma tradition. Peace is empty, peace is kind. And to those who are neither empty nor kind, be kind. Fill them with your love, fill them with your longing. There's no path wider nor straighter. It is the way of your heart to see. The gates swing open, welcoming you and welcoming me, the we, the us, the universal being. The song is infinite, the sound resonant and uplifting, nothing more to search for, we are found. Unresistant to the truth, surrendered, compelled to love and understand. The wrinkles in our hesitation, the greenness in our vision, unbalanced and trusting. We will all be true to you and to me. So be at peace, and peace will be with you. And so here in our time zone, in Central Time Zone in the United States, the fast is broken, and people are beginning to enjoy their evening meal. I know that before we move to the being with our families, one is in Belgium and one is here in the Kansas City area, that Ayub, do you want to share we could have our speakers come back up, Zeki and Matt. I know Ayub has something special to share with you both.
Yes.
Thank you, Matt.
This is for Matt and Valerie Anderson.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Cool.
And I'm sure Valerie's on YouTube.
She's right over my shoulder looking at it. She loves
it. And
she's waving. Hi, Valerie.
And this is for you, Dr. Zeki Sartoprak.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ayub, I think you're going to talk with our families.
Yes. Now we are going to join our families. The first family, John and Nanette Miller, who are part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day of Saints. I guess we forgot to mention today is also when I don't know, maybe Matt mentioned, today is the first Sunday of May, so our friends also fasting from LDS Church, and so they're going to talk about their own tradition of fasting as a family, as a community, however you prefer. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, so we generally so on Sunday afternoons after church, we have a meeting as a family that is, we call it Come Follow Him, and we meet and we discuss what we learned about in church, and then we discuss what we're going to do the following week. So the week before Fast Sunday, we generally talk about remind the kids it's going to be Fast Sunday next week. If you can spend some time kind of pondering over what you want to fast about, or somebody you want to fast for. We don't tell each other who that is. It's a personal decision. And then remind them the Saturday before and have a family prayer. And then we skip the breakfast meal and the lunch meal on Sunday, and then we have a dinner meal to break the fast. And
we have our prayer before we break the fast, and then we do our Come Follow Me at the same time. And we've found that the kind of allure of food for the boys, we have 4 boys, so it's a little bit crazy, but if we can get them to fast with a purpose rather than just starving themselves, it certainly does help them to be ready for that meal and to be in the spiritual frame of mind that they need to be to enjoy fasting rather than have it be a burden on them.
And we don't always just fast on Fast Sunday. If there's a need, if there's somebody that we're close to, or somebody in our ward family who is ill or has hardship, we as a group will fast for them for a period, just so that collectively, as a group, there's a prayer and a purpose, and a focus.
By the way, have you had a chance to break your fast today?
We did.
We did.
Yeah, before we got on, we thought, ooh.
Like I said, we have 4 boys, so I don't know if we could wait until
Give me more food. Give me more food, Daddy. Okay.
Dinner time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you get together with your church members, either at the church or just at someone's home to break the fast, or do you usually do within your own family?
So right now during COVID, we're doing it with our own family, but I know that our church ward does have a break the fast potluck that they used to do every fast Sunday. So we'd get together as a ward family and break the fast together. And they've been put on hold during COVID, but hopefully it'll open up soon and we can do that again. And it would be great to be with them while that is happening.
Hmm. And how long have you been fasting? Like what age or does it start?
We start about 8 years old is when we have the kids start fasting, and it's one of those things where I think Matt mentioned it, and Zeki probably did too, that intermittent fasting is a huge thing now, but we've been doing it since we were 8 years old, so
And to be honest, a lot of children 8 to 12, they probably don't fast for 2 meals. They probably just give up 1 meal
Right.
until they're able to
make the choice on their own, really.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I mentioned this M&M fast breaking dinner.
M&M.
Did you have any chance to come to our in-person iftars with the LDS Church, or?
No, we
This is your
actually
first?
moved to Kansas City right before quarantine last year.
I see.
Yeah.
But future state, we would love to come.
Oh,
So.
We have around actually 250 people.
Oh, very
Wow.
nice.
Yeah. So
We'll be
hopefully,
there for sure.
hopefully next time we'll be able to get together in person. Thank you so much, Kelly. Do you have any question?
No, I just I actually started thinking about next year already. Well, because I really enjoy when we do come together. I love doing this. I love them both. There's both have different. They're just different ways of being and different ways of coming together, and doing it online really, I think, ramps up a commitment to being committed. Ramps up the commitment to what does community, connecting really mean and look like. And may not be my
Actually,
favorite
yeah.
way.
Kelly is the one who came up with the Zoom Iftar project.
Brilliant.
I should give the full credit to her. It was a time, during this COVID, I think I only had 2 days, very like stressful, didn't know what to do. Especially it was late March last year, right before Ramadan, a few weeks before Ramadan. And we have in the previous years about more than 40 community Ramadan dinners.
Or like 45.
Actually, yeah, 45, 46, 44, with not just on the faith communities, but also police departments, FBI, sheriff's offices,
Universities. Yep.
universities, yeah. And now, and this feeling stuck doesn't make you feel good. It's not a good feeling. So then while having conversation with Kelly, she said, Zoom Iftar. I'm like, wow, I like the idea. I just don't know what to put inside. What is the content?
Like, I have no idea how to do this. I'm like, oh, that's easy. Just we can do that. We'll make it work. Yeah.
I love it. Sign me up for the baklava.
No kidding, right?
Yeah.
Well, just answer this question then. Is baklava Turkish or Greek?
I'm going to say Turkish.
And the answer is, do you know where I am from?
Are you from Turkey?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the answer is neither Turkish nor Greek.
Oh.
My name is Baklava of Peace and Justice. That's a tricky question. But we'll do that. We hope
Yes,
to.
absolutely.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time.
Thank you. It's wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now we are flying to Belgium, connecting to Hamad and Sumaya Özdemir in Belgium. They are a newlywed. Let's see. It's still dark in Belgium, but I guess now it's lighter.
Light is backlight.
Yes, the light is back. Welcome to our program. Welcome to our event. And I know it's about now like 3:30ish in Belgium. It's sahur or pre-dawn breakfast or early breakfast, as we say in English, time. So, well, would you first introduce yourself? Because, I mean, your marriage is very unique, actually. We also want to hear about that and also your Ramadan experience, again, both from different cultures.
Absolutely. So I'll go ahead. Yeah. So we actually got married pretty recently, like 4 months ago. So it's also our first Ramadan together.
Oh,
Of course,
congrats.
as well. Yes, we got the COVID marriage. Essentially, it was like very only the close members that could be present, family members that could be present there, of course. So yeah, I mean, it's our first one together, and we need to get used to each other's habits as well, of course. From a Ramadan perspective, I'm from my family as well. Before I was married, we used to do suhoor, like we had like a proper meal, etc. I think my wife still prefers to have a very light slash no suhoor. So sometimes I still like wake up in the middle of the night and like also I think in the process make her awake as well.
Uh-huh.
And I go to have like a proper meal and then I come back and sleep. Uh, so yeah, Svea, what do you want to say about that?
I prefer for otherwise my routine is a little bit more disrupted.
Could you get a little closer to the mic? We were able to hear Hamad, but yeah.
So in my family, we don't do sahur or suhoor, so I'm not used to it. We normally eat something before sleeping and then we go to bed, or we don't eat before sleeping because the purpose of Ramadan is not eating and like that, but also be clean and cleansing your body. So I'm more pro that, but Hamad has other.
Well, not other priorities. but yeah, I mean it all depends, of course. Like Smith said, it does mess up your schedule a bit. Of course, I think for the first couple of days, your sleep is all over the place. I work for an American company by chance, and then it's like really you have to wake up early, of course, and you really kind of like have to. What we do in the weekends really make sure that we catch up on our sleep. I think, which is certainly very important for me as well. So yeah, it's. I mean, we have been doing it for like since we were children essentially, and I mean, like I really liked something that Matt said earlier as well. Ramadan is really a God first exercise. So I mean, of course, there are a lot of benefits of
Right.
fasting. I mean, things like intermittent fasting are also quite in there, but it's really a God first exercise. And when you really stop eating, you really, I mean, kind of like become aware of how much what we do essentially is focused on consumption, right? It's we're planning breakfast or planning dinners with family, etc. So when you really take all of that out, you really see that okay, it's I mean, you really start focusing on other things, and it really forces you to be aware of how life is without food, or how life is, or at least a couple of hours without the consumption part, essentially. So yeah, it's great.
If I may ask, how long have you been in Belgium, Hamad?
So, I was born in Pakistan. I moved to Belgium when I was 12. So
It's a long time.
it was, yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you to compare your Ramadan experience in Belgium and Pakistan. Then the similar question to Sumaya. I wonder how long have you been in Belgium?
I'm born and raised here. I'm a true Belgian woman.
Oh, you are okay.
Yes.
Do you have any Turkey like Ramadan experience or all Belgium?
Yes, in the summers.
So let's hear from Hamad and then hear from you your both experience, please.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're really like in Pakistan, of course, it's a very different kind of like ambiance, you could say, right? It's like really the street food and like wherever you go, and like the streets are dead till you could say till midday, like I don't know, or even like afternoon till 3 p.m. And then you still see like when after 3 p.m., 4 p.m., you really have these stalls that start preparing like the iftar meals that people can then buy and of course take at home. So it's a complete different, and I mean, of course, then you have the iftar, and then you really go with the family to the mosque to read prayers, and then you're really like pray in what you call the tarawih. And it's really like in Pakistan, what they do is read the whole Quran in the month of Ramadan. So it's like every day they do 1/30th, you could say, of Quran, and it's also a very good time to also do that with the family, and of course have that remembrance of Quran and Allah, of course, as well during Ramadan. So yeah, it's a completely different ambience here. It's a lot more focused, of course, within your family and friends, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's still what we had a couple of years back in Antwerp, in the city that we live, or like it was an iftar party, but like people from different religions. Like you had Jewish people, you had other people that were, yeah, you could say even atheists that didn't believe in anything. Also Christians. They all came together somewhere on a public place, and really every one of them brought something from home. And then what we did was really share everything together. So it's not, of course, the same, but I do think there are some initiatives that are going on that are quite similar to yours, which is also quite an impressive one.
Thank you.
For me, maybe the biggest difference is that there is no azan here. So it's always at the time of the iftar. Is it time? It's time. No, 30 seconds. No, 1 minute. My cell phone say something other. So when we are in Turkey, you just hear the azan and you just break your fast, and that's something I miss personally in Belgium. Otherwise, I think it's pretty similar because yeah, I think there's no other difference.
Do you have any community kind of interfaith Ramadan dinners? I mean, regarding pre-pandemic.
We had. I had the tradition of inviting my university's friends every year at my home, just to experience it. I did it for 3 years in a row, but now with the COVID, it's not possible. So I do that, of course, just to introduce them to our culture and our religion, actually.
Well, thank you, Kelly. Do you have any question?
Well, the one I ask a lot of people is if there's a favorite food.
Oh yeah.
Ramadan. I seem to be the one that asks about food.
Then our follow-up question: ship your favorite food to US to us.
Right. So I know for some families there was something special growing up that they brought into their marriage, or there's just some kind of tradition or food.
That's a big difference between us because we are from different cultures. So I was very shocked actually by the food Pakistani people eat during iftar. With us, soup is very important. Soup, salads, bread. We can't do without. Hamad and Hamad's family, they don't drink soup. No soup, no salads. They just eat fried food.
Yes. So what we eat a lot are things like, I don't know if you guys have heard the samosas.
Yes.
It's quite similar to, of course, the Indian cuisine as well. So what we eat is a lot of samosas, pakoras, and what's there always on a Pakistani iftar, it's called a fruit chat. So what we do is we slice a lot of fruits, and then fruit salad, and we put some spices on top of the fruit.
Oh yeah.
Like it's completely like a smell. Like, why do you put spices on the fruit? But
spice on
bet you. Yeah, if you will taste it, it's wonderful. It's really good.
I bet it is. Yeah. No.
But this part is important. If you taste it. Well,
so those are a couple of, and I just had some biryani as well, which is also good.
So we have also special calligraphy for you here for Sumaya.
Thank you.
And Hamad, I'm happy that we have the right spelling of your name. And here is yours.
Great, thanks. That's very nice.
And I guess we are coming to the end. We can have everyone back.
Yes, there's actually been a question for Zeki as well. So
yeah, sure. And Miller family, I have is if you can Miller family be back as well.
Yep.
Also, this is for you. I forgot to show
Oh,
yours,
beautiful.
Oh, very nice. Thank you, Ayub.
and I can email those to you. And Kelly said there's a question for Zeki before ending, maybe.
Yes, yes. So the question is, if you could share an example of the communal benefits of fasting.
Mm.
I know, a simple, easy question.
Yeah, the communal benefit, there would be perhaps sharing food in Ramadan, helping the poor of the poor members of the family, because there was something that I didn't have time to mention, and that is every member of the family, be young or old, even fetus, in the womb of mother, you have to give what is called the charity of creation. You have to do that. And it's calculated like a 1 day food. So for example, I asked our community, Islamic community here, what is the amount for this year? Because it's calculated every year. And they said minimum $10. For example, if you are a member, if you have a family of, let's say 6 members, father, mother, and 4 children, then you have to give at minimum $120. Sorry, you have to give $60 each.
Okay.
If you like to give, they said, generally we prefer $20. So if you like to give $20, you'll be $120. Basically, you'll give to the poor in the community. You have to go and find them.
Oh, okay.
Or you have to have, as our mosque does here, food drive.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, you announce it to the homeless people. Some members of the family and some members of our community prefer to go to give this amount of money to food bank.
Right.
And the homeless people, the people who are poor, they would come and get from there. So there are a variety of ways to contribute to the quality of the community, basically.
Yeah, I also would think it was interesting because I actually read the question a little differently, insofar as if you're struggling while you're fasting, like if during the day, just doing it communally could be very supportive if you do struggle.
Wow.
With the fasting.
Yeah,
that was
because in Islam, if you are, let's say, in a very difficult situation, you are fasting and you are in a difficult situation, Islamic tradition says, break your fast.
Right.
And make it up later. Because Islam does not ask people to harm themselves,
Right. No, I just kind of meant if it was
struggle is good, and it is beautiful to have the pain of hunger, because then you get the point if you have the pain of hunger.
Right.
But if the pain becomes, let's say you are working in the field, on the field.
Right.
And it is sunny.
Yeah.
And you are sweating and you are really dehydrating.
Right.
And it becomes really dangerous for you. Today I look at some Islamic sources, because such a question came to me. I said, I am working at a restaurant and I am next to the fire and I am sweating and still I am fasting. What should I do? Today I was almost fainting. And I look at Islamic sources and says, well, if you cannot get, like kind of permission from your work during Ramadan, and there is possibility that if you lose your job, you will not be able to find a better job, then break your fast and then make up those days that you
Yeah.
miss it. So that is given the example of those people who are in the field,
Right.
are
Yeah.
dehydrating. They are in a very difficult situation. Islamic tradition says they are allowed to break their fast and make up later.
Yeah. I was just thinking that during the, looking at the 24 hours, just the benefits of doing that together, whether
Yes,
it's eating after the fast is broken or during the day. So I just,
one of the
appreciate
aspects of the communal prayer in Ramadan is that what we call it Tarawih. Tarawih is after sunset,
right.
After actually evening prayer.
Right.
It's about 20 units of prayer. And generally, because of the COVID, people doing at home, but generally they do it at the mosque, and there is a good attendance. So, communal prayer, it becomes a communal prayer.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
What a great evening it has been so
Yes,
far.
it has.
Thank you so much all for
Sure.
joining us today. As we say, we do not like to say bye-bye. So we say see you again on Tuesday, May 4th. The host group, Greater Kansas City Interfaith Council and St. Paul's United Methodist Church. Videos of kids from Tanzania. They are just fresh videos, just arrived yesterday. Woo! Calligraphy by Yasin Bekar. Keynote speaker Cheryl Pearson, an African American speaker from Houston, Texas. Adhan by 6 different imams from Turkey, Egypt, and United States. Families will join us from Wichita, Kansas, and Uganda. Ramadan Mubarak. Happy Ramadan.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Take care. Bye bye.